take your life.
I can see you're very passionate about this cause that you guys are out here fighting for. What's your message to the Cook County police officers here today?
That the Illinoisans are being kidnapped by ICE daily and put in that.
Guys, they're kidnapping all these people. I mean, look at all these rational people making their points here over. I mean, you gotta love it. But any event, how is it going out there, my fellow world patriots? It is indeed Wednesday, October 15th, 2020. And I have my good buddy Juan here, who's, I'll pull him on the screen in a minute, but he's looking out the window at an airport, and he is on mute. I don't know if he's aware of that or not, but just a little coincidence today, guys. 5 years to the day that my channel gets unfairly removed from YouTube. I wake up very similar to how I woke up 5 years ago to find my channel gone from YouTube. I wake up to find it back online today. So very, very interesting turn of events here. But like I said, I'm willing to bet with 1/5 of the follower count that I'm probably going to get a lot more views on Rumble than YouTube, because as I stated, their algorithm just poo-pooed everybody into non-existence. But while we got this stuff going on here, let me pull my buddy Juan onto the screen here. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Oh, maybe make it a lot bigger for you guys there. Ding. And we got the business side of an airport. We're not going to dox Juan or anything like that, but we are in an airport. How's it going today, brother?
Hey, very good. I got a plane pulling in right now, actually.
Nice.
So, probably be noisy for just a moment. There we go. Shutting it down. So.
Yeah, no, I don't hear a thing from other than you. I don't hear anything in the background. So that's good.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Yes. So, I mean, I wish there was anything for us to talk about today. Really not much going on in the world news.
Well, no, I could, we should probably talk about the latest bird they've added to Angry Birds. So they've got a new hat. You can buy different hats for the Angry Birds. I've been subjected to an excruciatingly detailed presentation about that from a young person that wanted to buy another hat for their Angry Birds because I helped.
I was gonna say, it had to be a little guy that was doing that, or a younger person for sure.
Yeah. So, but I now know more about Angry Birds than I had actually previously known prior to today. So.
Well, dude, it is bananas out here lately. President Trump, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of other people's opinions that are watching, unfairly got the shaft for some woman who I don't even know. Oh, well, she brought democracy back to, I don't even know if it was Venezuela, Chile, whatever country she was. I'd never even heard of this woman, but she gets the Nobel Peace Prize, and Trump gets the shaft, even though he's making peace all over the place. And it's just another notch on the belt, essentially, right? Like we've been used to this type of behavior. But you know what I've been noticing, Juan, too, which is very interesting? Not only do we have wonderful Scott Jennings on CNN, who just destroys, his co-panelists daily, but we're starting to see it on like MSNBC, CNBC, all these different places that are like, wow, you should be giving President Trump credit for this. Even some of them even calling out Obama for not mentioning President Trump once when he's talking about the peace accord. So I'm starting to see that slow change, and I think it has to be that way, right? You can't just flip a switch.
It probably is slow. I guess I was going to say it's not, but Bill Maher had dinner with Trump and a couple months ago. And then today, with one of his Hollywood guests on there, was talking about the fact that, Trump absolutely deserves credit for what he did. It's rocky. This situation there with Gaza is very rocky. So you have Hamas that's coming in like mafiosi, they've won the day, and now they're taking it out all the other sub-families and consolidating. And if you're going to resist this, then you're out. It has to kind of be that way. But, the one thing that none of them can argue over, he got the rest of the hostages out. While, those 20 that they got out alive, there's a saying with the Jewish rabbis, he who saves one life, it's as though he saved the whole world. You wish he could have, somehow this could have been done when it was 100 hostages or something like that. But those 20 that have been saved, um, you know, did they have even weeks left, uh, for this to continue on? So everybody was saying, get free the hostages, free the hostages, free the hostages. Well, you got them free. You can say anything you want about whether or not this peace is going to hold completely or not. I think it will. Um, and there's some consolidation going on, but he got the hostages free. That's outer space. Nobody else
Huge.
got it there. So,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely huge. And of course, he never gets the true credit, but I think internationally people are starting to see what's going on, and now he's playing the tough guy role. And in my opinion, Xi and Putin and Trump have been working in cahoots behind the scenes, for quite a while. But now that he's got this stuff, he's like, Russia better do this or else. And I'm like, I'm just laughing because I'm like, yeah, I know. President Trump has to go out and act like his, the peace through strength type of thing, right? He exudes that and has exuded it since the very beginning. So, maybe the peace deal with Russia and Ukraine is next. But as we know, that is like, a major area for them, right? Ukraine is like, I would say almost like they're founding. A lot of these people, even a lot of people from the Middle East come from that Ukraine area historically. So, it might be a little tougher than this, but I mean, who would have thought we would have gotten peace in Israel and Gaza?
well, the one thing, Zelensky's going to be over here in a couple of days, and so anything's possible. He's coming over asking for Tomahawk missiles. Putin said, well, because they have deeper range into Russia, Putin's been very specific. You start hitting us deeper in Russia, and we're going to start hitting you in places you never dreamed possible. They have a response set up. And as far as Xi, Trump is definitely not coordinating his activities with Xi as much as a lot of people think. Xi's been reaching out, Trump's been listening, but he's not backing down off the tariffs. In fact, in many ways, we're doubling down. And that, Xi's going to have to decide, does he want to go the distance on this or not? Because it's not going to be as simple as he thinks.
Oh, you don't think he's working with Xi a little bit? Okay. Now that's, to each their own. I think you would probably know a little bit better than me. And, I just found it interesting that how this guy rose to power too, Xi, how he rose to power while they pulled his father away to re-education camps, and even he had to go to re-education camps. But now later, decades later, he's running the country over there. So I always thought maybe he had a little sore spot for what they did to him, or maybe the brainwashing was good. But, President Trump did get a lot of respect when he went over there to China to go to certain areas that was the Forbidden City.
Again shortly. They're meeting again. And I apologize, they're just doing an announcement. It'll be over in a second. But Xi and Trump are meeting soon. The short version on that, however, is that we had huge reports behind the scenes over the last week that I discounted, but we watch them anyway. Where Xi supposedly had a stroke the other day, and then they called Wang Yang back, who's one of the hardliners that is widely believed to be on the deck to replace Xi. And it hung pretty good for several days. We didn't get any word from any of our good insiders that it was true, and I was hesitant. But there is an awful lot of indication that Xi may very well be out in this next plenum session, which is, literally a week from now. And the logic there is that you have to have somebody to lay all the sins on, the scapegoat. And with the tariffs and what Trump is doing, hedging in China in his own way across the Pacific, other than going a military option, they're in trouble. They're in trouble with currency. They do not have the cash flow going on that everybody would think. The Belt and Road BRICS issues are both in serious shape. By the way, a lot of people don't know this. The hardest move against the BRICS occurred there in the Middle East because Saudi Arabia and Qatar were both on deck to switch over to the BRICS currency. When Trump went over and did the arms deal with Saudi Arabia, it locked them in to using high-tech American weapon systems aircraft for their defense systems for another, realistically, bare-ass minimum 20 years, if not 30 years. And at that point that we did that deal, they backed off of going over to the BRICS and stepped aside. That would have been a huge move if Saudi Arabia had done that because of the oil trade. Then Qatar's in the same boat, and they did a bigger deal there in Qatar. Qatar's the reason why you have this whole Hamas deal actually working out. They're the ones that were the hard broker. I've been saying for about the last year that Qatar was kind of the key to something being done in the Mideast, and that turns out to have been the case. They did the hard negotiating to pull this off. So when Trump did Saudi Arabia and Qatar, it further damaged this BRICS move that China's been banking on. And a lot of the movement that you're seeing with currencies all over the world, gold going up in price radically, silver going up in price radically in China. You have to remember when you see gold and silver moving, flip your mind around and think of it differently. Gold and silver aren't moving a penny. They haven't moved at all. The currencies that you're paying for the gold and silver and the value of other things you would buy with your currency, property, stocks, tangibles of other sort, don't look as attractive because it's like when the music stops, everybody wants a chair. Gold and silver are horrible, horrible investments normally because they neither spin nor toil. But when you come into periods of significant disruption, they're a pause location. And once the dust settles, now you have something that has a known value and you can come back in and resume trading with, digital currency, digital fiat, if you will, paper fiat. It doesn't have anything backing it. Look at what happened with the Bitcoin over the last few days and all these other cryptos that everybody's been all excited about. They dropped radically too at the same exact time that silver is powering ahead pretty steadily, and gold also. And I said, I think on our last show, and certainly other shows in the last several weeks, silver wasn't going to 50, it's going to 70. It'll punch right through 50 and continue steadily up to 70. Gold's not headed for 4,000. I said all along, it's headed for 4,500. That's where the next point of resistance is. And then as we see what happens in the world, we'll look what the next spot is beyond that. But that's where the resistance is right now. That's a long ways away from where we are this second.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm popping them up on the screen right now. It's probably easier for you if I don't, just you'll be looking at yourself. But yeah, it's crazy, Juan. When I started telling people, back in 2019, it was like $17 for silver, and then it was $1,700 for gold, and now we're at currently right to the second $52.51 for silver, and then $42.26 for gold. And that's just something I've been aware of for a while too, because I was talking with a couple of my co-hosts after the show the other day. I'm like, is there going to come a point that one day where all of a sudden silver and gold just skyrockets, but then you look over and you say, well, it skyrockets kind of because of what you're talking about right now. Not that, oh my God, the value of silver and gold is going up, but the value of the money, like say the dollar bill, is going down so low. So is there ever going to come a point one day where we're just going to be like, oh crap, it skyrockets, but then the dollar's worth absolutely nothing, right? That's my
Well, and by
concern.
the way, in the next couple of days, I've got to raise prices on my stuff too over at allpatriots@gumroad.com and then over at thejennifermac.com. And I'll be watching this for good. I have to change it tonight or tomorrow, but I think it'll be in the weekend. But here's part of the way you got to look at this. I was very decisive with your audience all this last year, and again, the last interview I did with you, that what Trump was doing was shifting from the Federal Reserve system, printing our currency, back to Treasury. And what he does when he flips it over there, he's going from fiat currency with no technical backing except the good faith and credit of the American people, securing oil trade and things like that. He's switching back to gold and silver backed Treasury certificates. Remember when Kennedy issued the silver, not certificates, but silver-backed currency. Okay, and they were silver certificates. I take it back. And so what he had was we had a Federal Reserve system, but he went back to Treasury notes that were tied to physical silver at the Treasury. Why was that important? Because you could take a silver certificate and trade it for a silver dollar, and it was real silver. It was, even now today, pre-64 silver. It's a solid silver dollar, as opposed to the ones with copper in them that are, heavily degraded. Why is that important? When Johnson came in, not even a week had gone by. Johnson revoked the Treasury notes, called them all in, the silver certificates, and switched us solely back to Federal Reserve notes. Now look at the issue that Trump is having with Powell. For illustrative purposes, to make a point, because he's into theater. He's a showman. After he had the big parade there in Washington, D.C. with the Army, and then he put the two big flags on the White House front lawn, kind of like Mount Suribachi. He's owning the territory at the center of the swamp, right? And then he had protective fencing put around the White House and the Treasury. Nobody was coming to assault the White House and the Treasury and jump over the fence and do whatever. It was symbolic. He was making it clear he is going to defend, fortify those two locations against the rest of the swamp creatures. And he didn't put protective fencing around the Federal Reserve buildings, the Board of Governors. He didn't do it around Congress or the Supreme Court or anything like that. He made it, this is where we're going to make our stand at. At the same time, he's calling out Powell on money that's being spent on buildings and everything else. What the hell's going on around here? That continues. And by the way, just a little side note. And I have the video, so I'm not going to release it for now because of the exact way that I have it. I'll wait for the time being. But I have the video that while the Army was there going in and out, doing the parade and everything else, in those exact days, all the Treasury employees were being held back, screened, pulled off to the side, and then they had military personnel going in and out of the Treasury and literally going room to room in the Treasury. So what the heck was that all about? Okay. Things are not back to normal, but they're back to something different than they were, but a new normality over there. I actually have somebody that had meetings there at the Treasury today, and I'll hear more about that, I'm sure, in the next few hours. But there's something going on there. Trump's main two things that he must accomplish to be able to say that he succeeded in his public life. The main two things that he wants to see done before he leaves office is a return to an honest vote so that your vote counts and it's not diluted with fraudulent votes or discarded. Everybody that has the right to vote gets to vote. Everybody that doesn't have the right to vote doesn't get to vote. And there's no mischief with ballot falsification in the meantime. That is the only way America works on principle. Then the second thing is, besides an honest vote, he wants an honest dollar. When you dilute the currency, that's widely understood to have been at the core of why Rome fell ultimately. Which came first, the dilution of the currency or the falling of Rome and then the dilution of the currency? And by the way, the treasury in Rome was the temple of Saturn. That was the most powerful position. The greatest festival in Rome was the festival of Saturn, the Saturnalia Fest, which was around madness. I've written about it, and I'll probably put that article again out this fall. So when you think of our currency, the treasury, where the money is minted, is a big deal. And by the way, the Saturn Festival, very occultic, what they would like to do with us with our Federal Reserve. So Trump wants to return to honest weights and measure. You trade moments of your life that you can never buy back at any price. Working, trading, all sorts of things that you accumulate some and you denominate it in these dollars. If they're not honest, if they're being diluted, then you're being stolen from. Your life energy is being sifted away. The taxes pulling it away from you too. But the greatest hidden tax, inflation, which is part of what's coming with these Federal Reserve actions. So by returning to an honest currency, honest weights and measures, he can help us to have strength moving into the future, to retain what we have, to be able to pass it on to the next generation and the next generation after it. And by the way, one of the key things you hear over and over from Democrats: you didn't make this, you didn't earn this, it shouldn't be yours. When you pass away, all that you've gained, all that you've set aside for future generations, these people believe it should be taxed away and given back to government. When you die, whatever you've accumulated should go back to government, not to your heritage. So the scripture says a blessed man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Beyond just your children, your grandchildren get an inheritance because you have, wherewithal that you've set aside for them and saved up. So Trump wants to return an honest vote and honest money. And a lot of the rest of things that are wrong with the country start to sort themselves out. He wants to radically reduce the taxes in every category. And that will also help people. And by the way, the one that we're on right now, oh my gosh. Oh, jeez. When you find out what we have on the bond stuff going on around the country, starting with California, people are absolutely going to come out of their trees. They're going to be so ready to take on some of these people that are running these bond scams for especially public schools. You aren't going to believe the stuff that you're going to hear. It's going to make property owners, people paying property taxes, so livid. Guaranteed, I'm telling you.
Maybe that'll help wake some of these people up then.
It will. It actually will. Sorry, I was just trying to keep my whistle wetted.
So,
yeah, honest money. And to the rest of the world, see, if we're going back to gold and silver backed currency run out of the Treasury, not out of the Federal Reserve, that's going to have a monstrous impact on all these other countries because they got to catch up with us. They got to find a way to back their currency or their cryptos or anything else with real gold and silver because they won't be able to compete. And what's happening, again, the gold and silver, just think of it that it's not going up. It's the value of the currency that's being used to buy it is going down. So when the music stops, Nino earlier today, I did a short thing with him, and he was saying, financial Armageddon, financial Armageddon. I'm like, stop the Chicken Little, hold on. No. It's when you invest in a company, it's what revenue can it get. So, for example, after 9/11. Airlines with all these huge aircraft and personnel and everything else, they were in trouble because people couldn't fly. And so they had beautiful, expensive aircraft. These things cost 40, 50, 60, 70 million. The bigger stuff, 100 million. But if it's not working, it's sitting on the ground. That's an albatross. That's a boat anchor. And they can't sit long term without needing servicing while they're sitting. So, let alone the financial service and all that. So, if you buy a stock in a company that has lots of very expensive, well-maintained assets like that beast right there, and it's working, it can make you money. If the fuel prices are reasonable, people are trying to travel, want to go someplace, those suckers there, those companies can make some serious revenue, and it's a good investment. Way better investment than gold or silver, which neither spins nor toils. But if you're in some kind of a lurch where people can't travel, or a lurch where there's a shift, people don't want to go to a brick and mortar store; they want to order online, and there's a shift in where the marketplace is at. Then sometimes you gotta wonder, do I know where the world's going exactly this second? If there's enough disruption in the world, there's enough trauma and drama going on, there's moments where I don't know which way it's going to go for sure. I suspect it's going to go here, there, somewhere else, but I'm going to hold until the dust settles. So where do you hold that? You go to gold or silver, you hold on to that for a period of time. And when you wake up on the far side of this, you've got something tangible to trade back into the system. And by the way, let me just help people out a little bit. How's Trump going to do this? He's going to switch from servicing debt owed by our government back to entities. Let's just say Social Security or Medicaid providers, physicians, hospitals, etc. Instead of paying them in Federal Reserve notes that we end up having to pay interest on, he's going to pay them in Treasury notes or certificates backed by gold and silver. Now, if you're offered to get paid back in Federal Reserve notes versus Treasury notes backed by gold and silver, you're not going to complain, especially when you're seeing gold and silver go up in value. You're going to want to get paid that way. They will lead the way, and there will be a transition from the reserve currencies, not just the dollar, but other countries that use reserve currencies out of the banks in the City of London to trade and pay their bills and like that. They'll want to switch back to Treasury certificates that are backed by real gold and silver, redeemable in real gold and silver. Trump's also going to, some point in here, revalue the gold and to fit where we're at in pricing. And so that's also going to stabilize the currency and the gold value. So with that in mind, if you're ahead of the game, looking towards the future, if you have Federal Reserve notes right now, are they going to hold value or lose value? Are they going to lose value at a predictable pace like they've been losing for 100 years? Or are they going to accelerate in their losses because there's a new game in town, a better game to play? So while we're waiting for the Treasury to reorient, re-engage, you can anticipate the future by buying gold or silver. And that's what I've been saying. When I introduced our silver coins that we have over to my shop and Jen's shop, when we introduced those, as you said, silver was down there at 17. I said, okay, we're leaving the market where silver and gold are being churned. I said that publicly. I said it, I think, on your show. And now we're going to where you're going to see a steady increase in price and an accelerating increase in price for the exact same reasons, because the dollars are going down in value and the other currencies are going down in value. And that has been accurate all the way since we introduced our silver coins 2 years ago on October 7th. So that's
to the day.
Yeah, and I'd purchased coins just prior to that, so we were at that $17 range. And again, we're in an accelerating moment because Trump's leaving the Federal Reserve system and switching back to the constitutional dollar issued by the U.S. Treasury. And so the value of those Federal Reserve notes is going to continue down. And by the way, the powers that be, the globalists, Obama specifically, and others prior to him and since, had a plan to blow up the dollar in precisely the same way we took down the Soviet Union on the ruble. And I've spoken about this, but it bears repeating again. All these pallets of cash that I've mentioned to you and other hosts over and over and over the last couple of years. I'll give you one incident just so that people have in mind. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. During the Obama administration, do you remember when pallets of cash were on aircraft that landed in Tehran? Each pallet had $100 million on it. And it wasn't just one aircraft, it was multiple aircraft. Came, dropped off pallets, came back to the U.S., loaded up more, and took them back, okay? And it was unimaginable amounts of money that were being flown in. Now, when that tranche of pallets was done, the one specific one was 4,000 pallets of U.S. cash, Federal Reserve notes, $100 million to a pallet, okay? And they made 4,000 of those. That was just one tranche. And 6,000 of those pallets went to countries all over the world, 600 of them. But the other 3,400 were shipped over to the Baltimore shipyards under heavy security. And think of this, 3,400 pallets with $100 million each. They end up at the shipyard. They don't even trust the shipyard workers that work at the Baltimore shipyard to do the loading. They don't want anybody to talk. Schumer himself authorized that longshoremen from New York came down to Baltimore, loaded two ships headed for China, I should say, not two Chinese ships. Loaded those two ships up, 1,700 pallets each, and they left the harbor, but weren't loaded by longshoremen. Imagine, who's got the juice to tell longshoremen what they're going to do in their own harbor? You go to the lunchroom, you go home, they all just vaporize. Nobody said a thing. So then 3,400 pallets were headed to China. You know what that was for? That was to cook the election in 2016, and it didn't get to happen because they didn't get the money that they needed to do certain things. They still did stuff. It just wasn't as devastating as they planned on. Both ships got intercepted. Those pallets are still waiting to complete their journey or go somewhere. Generals have confiscated and hidden all those pallets like they're going to get the money. The problem for them is this. You remember when Assad fell and everybody was looting every building, you know, all the palaces, everything else. And the stories that came out, there was some pallets of cash, $100 million pallets of cash. The looters tried to open them up. They opened up 2 of them, and what happened? They melted into the ground, burned up, gone. And they were going to do more, but then the guys that were supervising said, no, you know, and they took the rest of the pallets. Those pallets came out of Afghanistan, by the way. Vast number of pallets were in Afghanistan. Those pallets are rigged so that unless you have exactly the right codes, and it's not just stuff that you can enter in locally, you have to have agreeing things that come in by satellite. You can't open those pallets up. Somebody thought they were going to be extra sneaky. They had a plan, and where a certain group of pallets were, and they were going to. I know exactly what they're doing. And I said, well, you don't have the agreeing satellite comms for it. Oh no, we don't need that. No, we know how to. We can stop the explosion. They melted $200 million. They were going to do another one. And the guys that owned the palace said, no, never mind. We're not going to try it again. Well, no, we think we figured it out. No, we think we figured it out. We know what to do. No, they didn't get to do another one. And by the way, there's another 23 that are sitting in about 30 meters of water, where they thought they had a different plan. That didn't work either. There was 24, but now there's only 23.
Oh, damn.
So what's the deal? What's with all these pallets? This is a really, really, really important point. If I owed you money and I said, here, here's $1 million owe you, and you can have it. Only thing is, I put it in a suitcase that if you try to open the suitcase, it's going to blow up on you. So when I decide that we've done everything just right, I'll go ahead and send the code and give you the code, and you can open it up. But I don't tell you what day. I don't have any, I'll just let you know. You just sit on it until I tell you what to do. That's not different from all of the warehouses of pallets of rubles we had, primarily in Switzerland, but a few other places, that when we turned it around and flowed it back into Russia, they were set up so nobody could steal out of them either. And secure facilities. When they went back into Russia, it was because the time had come and they were released and they went where they were supposed to go. There was a plan that was in place to take down the dollar, and they were going to do it during the first term with Hillary. And they had to pause and hold. And even during Biden, they couldn't quite get everything in place to go ahead and take down the dollar. So those pallets sit there. They're like a ticking time bomb against the Federal Reserve note. And if they get released, see, you can't undermine a currency readily from a digital location. Banks, even cash machines and things like that. You can't take down a currency in the digital world readily. And the reason is because they can be stopped by politicians, kings, rulers. You stop it in the flow of the banks. You stop the money in the accounts. You can't have a bank run from inside the bank, if you will, in the modern era. When we flooded rubles into the Soviet Union, it was all black market. There was no regulation. There was anything they did to try and control it only made the situation worse because people at the street level became more and more scared to get paid or receive rubles because the ruble was not trustworthy. They wanted something else. They wanted a hard Western currency. The perception was that the ruble was going into the ground. It went from 40 rubles to the dollar to 200 rubles to the dollar in just a matter of months. It was headed to 1,000 rubles to the dollar if Gorbachev hadn't called Bush 1 and said, I need help. If he hadn't called and then Bush 1 says, well, the wall's still there. Reagan said, tear down that wall. And within 4 hours, Gorbachev called the guards back from the wall, and the rest was history. The wall started coming down. Imagine that with the dollar. If suddenly, a solid number of 17,000 pallets of cash exists out there with 100 million each. Ones that we haven't fully documented, but I believe are out there is another 5,000, making a total of 22,000 pallets of cash dollars that are out there, plus other currencies. There's pallets of British pounds, Brazilian bola, Japanese yen, other currencies. And the plan was to force the world into a digital currency. And this panic, this attack that was going to happen on the paper currencies. And they haven't been able to pull it off. And people keep talking about how we're going to buy the pallets back over at Treasury. They've done the dance and then not bought one back. All the people saying they bought some, not haven't bought. And the numbers that they thought they were going to buy enough, they've just been tracking everything to see who has what and to make sure they know exactly where to look for all of it. And so at the end of the day, from a Trump side, yeah, why don't you keep those Federal Reserve notes, okay? Yeah, it's a good idea. And go ahead and release them when you want to. That'll really help people decide to go to U.S. Treasury gold certificates. They're in deep shit. And if you've got gold or silver, all you're doing is getting ahead of the game. And then as it happens, you're pre-positioned with what's going to be the substance of the currency to come, and you'll be in good shape. And then you just trade in, and you're going to want to own companies with these airplanes. You're going to want to own companies that are mining stocks. By the way, in 29, when we had the market collapse, Armageddon, Chicken Little, everything was horrible. If you had mining stocks, especially gold mining stocks, at the time of the crash in 29, you did just fine all the way up until after the war, till the country started to come back into regular commerce. You did great compared to everything else. So as a sector of the stock market, mining stocks, and specifically gold mining stocks, did absolutely just fine. And why? Because it was a tangible, and you had to pay for all the things you were doing, including the war stuff and all that. People wanted the gold. So is that going to be the case right now? You're in a period of extreme transition within the economy. Trump is bringing trade back to internal trade with companies inside of America employing American workers, and kicking out the low-cost workers back to their own countries, so that we have higher price jobs here at home with industry at home. And by the way, with the mining, the reason we don't have rare earth processing facilities here in America is because China undercut the price of the rare earths radically, including with their slave labor, went out to cheap places all over the world, including places like the Congo, and raped them into death, and pulled all that back to China. And they had some assistance on that, including Australia and a few other countries. And then what Trump is doing. We have plenty of rare earth here. We just don't have the facilities that process it up and working because of the low price out of China with their slave labor. We can't compete with that. So we're going to return it back to the U.S., stop letting China hoard that, and, further their slave labor, and do it at fair trade prices right here at home domestically, employing our own citizens to do stuff, and then enjoying the tax revenue from those business activities right here at home. And by the way, China oftentimes got paid to take our mining materials to China as though it was junk. We had some very expensive equipment in 2 mines here in America. The government agencies involved said that when the mines closed down, you had to return them back to the natural environment. So they had to dismantle these mines with huge pieces of equipment that then became scrap because nobody wanted to do mining here in America. They were sent to China intact at a few cents a pound. And so the one that we're looking at replacing at one particular mine here, it's going to cost us $40 million to replace one particular piece of equipment that China, shipping included, only paid $250,000 for to get back to China when they shut it down 20 years ago. And that was with U.S. government help, like they were doing us a favor. I believe they got a grant for part of the expense of doing that. That's the politicians gone mad against America. So, we're returning the jobs to America. They're high-paying jobs. They're important jobs. We'll mine our own stuff, thank you. And in lots of different categories, rare earths, tungsten. We even have amazing stuff where we were paying the Russians to give us titanium, for our own military aircraft. Crazy. We got great titanium here. You just got to decide you want to go mine it. And we're going to do that. It's changing. So Trump's doing some amazing stuff here for us.
Yeah, so we're not like being beholden to China for so many things, right? Like the processing of the rare earths and the medicines. I think we need to get back. Now, Juan, this is interesting because as you were talking earlier about I was going to flash on the screen your earlier talk about, which I think I did last time we chatted. What was it 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't even know how many years ago. But you were like, yeah, what we should do is put a fence around DC and flood the thing, which we showed last time. Which they coincidentally they did that. But it was really interesting, dude. Doc at Doc Holiday on Twitter. He has close to 250,000 followers out there. He actually posted about you.
One of my favorite guys, by the way. That's great work. Go ahead.
Yeah. He posted about you on October 8th, and he says 107 was talking about the Q project in 2015. Navy intelligence. He said the Navy's 250 years old. How far does Navy intelligence go back? The U.S. will begin shipbuilding again. The Dutch are the world's best shipbuilders. The Dutch claimed America in 1609, the best storyline of all time. And that post was reposted by Montana Geology Tours, who said Juan did some very good shows on science back in 2014, and here is one of them. So, Juan's he's not just an OG, he's an OOOOG who's been putting out information for quite some time on the interwebs there. So I thought that was interesting. And I know another topic that I know the folks would be interested to hear any updates that you had on. So let me set the table and read this really quick blurb, and then I think you'll probably understand where I'm going. Interesting. We had a secret person come in and give a, quote, secret testimony a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. And then seemingly by happenstance, a few weeks later, former GOP election official buys Dominion voting system, says he'll push for paper ballots. And so I bring all that up to talk about Tina Peters, right? Is there any update with Miss Tina? Because I know that she had that guy that came in from, I think it was another country, who quietly
Venezuela, yeah.
Yeah, Venezuela, who anonymously basically did a testimony and whatnot. And then shortly thereafter, we see this where Dominion gets sold. And you had also made me and you did a video, maybe 23, maybe 24, where I think we named it 107 Venezuela is key. So I thought that was just an interesting tidbit to add to it. But anything, you want to comment on any of that I just said?
Well, a couple things. The Dominion purchase and the talk about the paper and like that, they're still wanting to use electronics in the course of that. And unfortunately, I think that is not something we want to support. It's a red herring to take us down the wrong course. You're going to have one-day voting, hand count paper ballot, counted where cast. You're not putting it in a police car. You're not putting it in a fire truck. You're not putting it in grandma's knitting basket. No central voting centers. Counted where cast at the precincts, properly documented. No electronics involved at all in, including, let's go back to the voter registration. You got to come in, register in person with government issued ID, and sign under penalty of perjury your voter registration card. And that's a key component in all of this, by the way, to get to an honest ballot. We're going to have to clean the voter rolls, and you can't clean them externally. I had somebody, a beautiful person, brilliant person, has been doing massive work on this for many years. But at the end of the day, they can still only clean up the voter rolls with searches and electronics and everything else about 90-95%. Well, some of these elections are that close. You can't do that. You're going to have to start fresh on the voter rolls and re-register everybody. We have plenty of time to do that. So you got to have clean voter rolls. The precincts have to be done right. No mail-in ballots, except in extremely rare and well-controlled circumstances. Military and people that have well-documented medical issues, they can't vote in person. And these are things that are just going to have to be. What the crew wants with what they've done in purchasing Dominion, the portion of it that would be the paper ballot, if you actually look at it more closely, is kind of a magic act. The magicians want to present you with something that, for all the world, looks secure and safe and everything else. And it's just a good magic act. Not doing it. And Trump knows that. Trump's very aware of that. He's been a bit coy at times. Let's vote early, vote early, vote early. Charlie Kirk was pushing that. I personally pushed very hard. You cannot do that. And that was a huge sticking point because I had supported his work early on when it really mattered pretty significantly. But that was a bridge too far. I could not support when they were saying, we got to get everybody out to vote early. No way. Part of the fraud is how they've been stealing the votes from us here nationally. So we're working through all those issues. Along the way, Tina Peters, there's a hearing held today. I haven't heard the outcome on it, looking at certain issues related to the Venezuelan. They were very strict with the court, no recording of the call. You could call in on their, 844 line or whatever. So I'll hear about that, I'm sure, probably in just the next few minutes. But one of the greatest travesties of this whole period over the last 4 or 5 years is what happened with Tina Peters and similar, the way that she's been treated. And the one that goes hand in hand with that is the way that the J6ers have been treated. Remember, all the people that showed up in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2021, were there to make known their presence over fraudulent votes. So Tina Peters, in her specific lane as a county clerk, the stuff that we got, by the way, as a result of what she did is epic. It just seals the deal on how they were doing the vote fraud. So Tina did some amazing thing for the American electorate, and she's a political prisoner, as much a political prisoner as any other person that's ever been one, and especially in America. 70 years old. She's not rotting in jail. I keep seeing that. She's not rotting. But every day counts. You're given a gift of life in this world. Every day counts. The only thing I'll add, I'll just say it to your audience, and I want everybody here to understand, and Tina knows this, as brutal as it is. And Tina and I have spent a lot of time together. I was the first person really to talk to her after she did her presentation out at the event there that Lindell had. And we talked for 5 hours that night, and I kind of warned her, I think this is going to go here, and here's what we got to watch out for. Unfortunately, the very things that I warned her about are pretty much exactly what happened. And she's said that. And Jen and I had her out as our guest in Hawaii for a couple of weeks last year before she went to trial. And then my chief of staff and others, Trennis Evans and I were able to get American Rights Alliance and Peter Tickton, President Trump's friend, who they've known each other since high school, as her attorney, her lead attorney now. They are fighting tooth and nail every day. I've probably, in just the last week, spent 20 hours just on issues related to Tina's situation in various quarters, trying to get her situation resolved favorably. I will tell you that we had everything in place. Tina was going to be released on her birthday. It was a done deal. And there was a disagreement over at the Justice Department, and the people involved didn't want her out. And under those circumstances, I think they're wrong. I understand what that was, but let me tell you from a divine perspective what I see. And everybody here needs to keep this in mind. One of the things we didn't want to happen was a circumstance where she's released, but it sets a precedence that could come back and bite us down the road, within the way that our country works, our justice system works. We didn't want to have something that could set a bad precedence. And Tina doesn't either. But let me tell you what happens. I believe we're going to get Tina out. It's going to be under the right circumstance. She's a national, she's kind of a heroine now, but her voice is going to be amazing because in chess, if you get just the right moves, if you get just the right, other things that are crucial, important, timing, etc., you can get a pawn all the way to the other side. And when it gets there, it's a queen. It has full latitude to move anywhere on the board. It's the freest player of all. It's the most dangerous player of all. The fact that she's still in the game, she's viable. When she gets free finally, and the message that she'll have, she'll be a queen on the chessboard with total flexibility to go out and play and be a part in this election stuff moving forward like no other person. And that's what's being set up here. And it may be brutal to watch, but even Tina doesn't want the wrong thing done for all the right reasons. And we're going to get her free shortly. So I've got an airplane that's getting ready to leave right now, and I probably better get over there. I'll lose it. But
you're not at the airport. Prove it. No, dude, I appreciate you jumping on anytime you can, and like I said, I'll be going live here during the week. So if you get any information that you need to get out, quick, just shoot me a text, and we'll get you right on within the half hour. You know what I mean?
Well, let me.
We just lost him. Here we go.
The end of
You're
this
back.
month.
All right, so you start over. You just said let me.
Be a big deal.
Okay.
So pay attention. Things are about to get epic very shortly here.
Oh, Juan's walking in a checkerboard floor. He's Illuminati. Hey, you can't help what the airport does, right?
Oh my gosh, I'm on the checkerboard. Yes. And there's one weird one.
Oh my God, it's like a diamond. But yeah, dude, I appreciate you jumping on anytime you can, and I'm expecting
there'll be some
big
stuff
things.
We're going to want to come on, and I think everybody, don't forget, Gitmo is open for business. And by the way, you know what? In the pantheon of gods and goddesses, the goddess of chaos rules and reigns once a month, 11 months out of the year, except in a leap year, on the 29th day of the month. And so the 29th every month, remember the crash in 29 was on the 29th. The 29th is always a very important day. 6 o'clock in the morning can be dangerous. So everybody relax. Let's have some fun. It's going to be a great rest of the month. And by the way, prayers for Tina. In fact, let me just say a quick prayer. Father God, we lift up Tina to you. We pray that you would encourage her in her heart, her mind, her spirit, and give her reasons for hope, even today with the hearing that happened today. Give her attorneys perfect understanding and favor in all that they're doing to see Tina freed at the earliest possible moment. And we thank you for her and what she's done in all of our behalf as Americans and out to a world where elections are being frauded to us. We look to you for your assistance, guidance, protection, and provision, and specifically for Tina, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, sir. And yeah, big prayers going out to Tina and everybody I know put her on their prayer list. So thanks again, brother, for getting on here, and have a safe trip. Hope you...
Yeah, and by the way, if anybody beats me to it, I probably won't raise prices till this weekend, but I don't know that for certain. But there's some great buys over in the silver. The Gitmo coin is very popular. And so that's there for a reason. And so get them while they last. All right, bro.
I wonder why. Yeah, all those links are in the description box of the videos there on YouTube, even, and on Rumble, and even BitChute. So thanks a lot, brother, and have safe travels, Juan. Appreciate it,
Okay, and by the way, just one other thing that just occurred to me too.
Sure.
Pay attention. Prayers also for people that are down going into Venezuela to do the things that they're doing there. We've got a $50 million bounty on Maduro, and there's real work having to be done there because a lot of these drugs are coming here with Chinese assistance, have been coming out of Venezuela. And then the last thing I'll just mention, there's real drama afoot over in South Africa, and Justice Department's getting ready. If they don't sort things out in the next very short period of time out of South Africa, we're going to do the same thing with Ramaphosa there. That's the guy that came in and President pantsed him right there in the Oval Office over the killing of the farmers. He'll be next on the list. So a lot of prayers for South Africa. They're at a very, very sensitive moment right now. And so anyway, appreciate you, bro, always. And your audience is one of my very, very, very favorites whenever we talk.
I appreciate you, my man. You have safe travels again, and we will talk very soon, I'm sure. I appreciate it again.
All right, super.
Have a good one, brother.
All right, right.
All right, that was Mr. Juanito07, and I got a couple clips before we get out of here. I'll show you. I was going to start off with some pretty funny ones. I don't understand how people expect us to take them seriously, and you know what? Before I get onto that, I would be. It seems to me, anyways, that Juan was telling us to pay attention to October 29th. Did you guys get that gist as well? Seemed to me like he was mentioning October 29th. Military intelligence versus CIA, NSA, no approval, congressional oversight. Very interesting posts on this day. Post 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Right, we're talking 3? No, the first post, because yeah, the first one was October 28th, 2017, and then so right from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I would contend that these posts are all very, very interesting. And if you notice, at the bottom, there's no signature. No signature. No signature. No signature. So when do they start naming themselves here? Go on to this is a good question. I don't know. Does anybody remember? Anybody know off the top of your head when they started naming themselves? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You know what? I never even noticed this. To be honest with you, I know that there was a bunch in the beginning, but I didn't know it went that far. Take a look at, say, post 75. Pretty sure they're naming. No. Wow. 76. Oh, was that it? 75, 76, Space Shot 76. Interesting. So 75 is the last one they did not, and then 76 appears to be the first one that they did. Huh. I'd never noticed that. But going back to what I was showing you a little in the beginning as Juan was connecting, like, I mean, you know, if I have a bad hair day or my eyes look a little puffy, if I slept too long and my eyes, you know, look a little puffy or whatever, you know, I know that I do, right? You know, if I work a really hard day and, ooh, a little breeze, my armpit smells a little bit, even though I put deodorant on, I know I smell a little bit, right? This, in my opinion, is just tone deaf. And you're expecting people to take you as seriously when you're saying these things. Dressed up like they are. So let's take a listen, because now the issue has become, I think it's the Cook County or Clark County Police Department is handling the security around this ICE facility, and it is no longer ICE doing it. So now their problem is now no longer ICE, but the enemy is the local police that are protecting these people.
People are comparing ICE and the feds, and now they're calling Cook County as well, the sheriff police. They're referring to them as the Gestapo. Do you think that's a fair?
I think that's absolutely a fair comparison, because what did the Gestapo do that was so terrible? They hauled people off without due process. What is ICE doing? That exact same thing. You could make an argument that the more local law enforcement is not that, and sure, they, even if they're not taking part in the actual hauling off of people, they're actively facilitating the taking of people that have been kidnapped and moving them somewhere else. So they're participating, even if they're not officially part of ICE, they are participating in that process of disappearing people. So I'd say that a comparison of them to the Gestapo is perfectly valid at this point. Yes.
What did you think when Chrissy Nome came here?
I think it was just a photo op for, Ice Barbie. And I don't, if she had to go to the bathroom, she could have gone to the detention center. Or the facility's so bad there that Ice Barbie can't go there. I don't know.
Who's the Ice Barbie?
Chrissy Nome, the dog killer. She's like Trump's cabinet official that's above ICE. People call her Ice Barbie online.
And what should they do with the illegal migrants that did come over the border illegally?
This isn't about illegal migrants. They're arresting and detaining U.S. citizens who happen to be brown, people who are driving while brown. They're arresting people who are in the process of getting citizenship.
Is that Mark Elias with a mask on? I mean, they're just blatantly lying, right? The idea is we are getting rid of illegal criminals. Not just, some black or brown guy who's driving while black or brown. No, bullshit. Pardon my French. And thank you to my buddy PWD Oathkeeper, who just gave me a little insight on something that's coming around on, let me see if I can get this stupid commercial out of the way for you. And I'll show you in a second. But apparently this is the date in which this is supposed to occur. Ready? Go. Unmute and unblock here for you guys. Here we go.
Watching this video, you are probably very familiar with Comet 3I Atlas. It's hard to escape all of the information that is out there. A lot of claims, but there's a lot of science, and it is a very weird object. It is unlike anything we have ever seen here in the solar system. Something that has spent millions, maybe even billions of years floating through the cosmos, and it arrived here in our solar system. It's giving us a unique chance to understand the composition, the formation of objects that come from entirely different star systems. It saves us all the trouble of having to build a spaceship to go to another star system.
So essentially, Fraser Cain here is writing that, you know, this 3I Atlas is allegedly coming to town around that time zone. So that's something very interesting. And if you guys noticed before, you know, me and Hulk had covered it on a couple of shows. They say that it's spouting out like water or fluid, like a fire hose, essentially. And it's also changing colors, the trajectory it's coming from. I mean, if you buy this sort of stuff, you know, I laugh at the idea that they're in the International Space Station because, I mean, you know, let's look at ISS fails. And so for me, guys, you know, this is not a space agency. NASA fail compilations. I mean, 35 minutes of it. Flat Earth's Moon Zodiac Clock app. I don't think Dave would mind me you playing a little bit of his video. Of course, we are going to commentate on a little bit of it, but essentially, fair use if as long as we are commenting and using a little bit of commentary on another video so I don't get a copyright strike. So, like, anytime that these guys do a live stream, there's an issue, right? And I'm not going to play the whole video, the 30-minute video. I'm not even going to play a minute of this video. I'll play you a couple small clips. But at the end of the day, if you could do something, no matter what it looks like, you would show the original, right? Like, so when they say they went to the moon in the 60s, but they faked the image halfway to the moon, that, in my opinion, is one of the biggest, you know, biggest targets that they faked. So they've showed you so many. Oh, look at invisible wires. This is the one where I believe this guy grabs this guy's wire. And why do you need a wire, right? Oh, I sure caught it. Goes out here. He's not reaching the microphone wire. He's reaching another little wire that's attached to this guy's harness, which if you notice right here around his neck, go back about 20-30 seconds here, got a harness. You can clearly see it underneath the shirt. So yeah, so many things. I mean, I don't need to even go down that road, but who knows? Some object that they say is coming October 29th of this year. We'll see what happens. Did you guys catch this one? I could not believe that I saw this. Where is it? They're actually taking the chain link fences down around that ice facility, or they were earlier today, which is pretty freaking crazy. And check out this one from our fearless Supreme Court Justice. Remember the one who couldn't tell us, you know, what a woman was? Let me know if this sounds racist to you regarding her own people.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
Did I hear that right? Did she just say that essentially they're basically compares black people not getting elected, electing their preferred candidates, to disabled people not being able to enter buildings. Quote, they don't have equal access to the voting system. They're disabled. Oh man, and I wish I had the clip of oh god, where is it? Advanced. Maybe I can find it. Advanced search Twitter. Advanced search Twitter. Here we go. Let me see. Computers. Or maybe I should put internet. Internet. You guys remember the I had it on here. Of course, this channel got removed, and if you guys are wondering where a lot of the content is on the YouTube side, well, when I got the channel back, I literally removed almost every video that I had just so they couldn't go back 2 years and flag me on another old video, which they had done numerous times. Computers, let's see. Computer, maybe? Well, you had a guy who was an African American who made just about the funniest video I've ever seen in my life, and it was dubbed over in the background of Biden talking about how African Americans don't know how to use the computer. And so he goes into this like, you know, small bedroom or whatever with like a laptop on the ground, and he's jumping around on the floor like he's a monkey. And he's like looking at the thing, and the laptop, he opens it up and he like takes a jump back because it's like hilarious. It's basically saying that, you know, oh, black people don't know how to use the internet. They're just idiots. Like, come on, dude, please. It is such a slap in the face to her own people to say something stupid like that. Doesn't make any sense in any way, shape, or form at all. And I don't know if I got my comment out. Did I ever get my comment out? All right, you go away. All right. I'm going to put this post out again. We didn't get a lot of answers the other day, so I'm going to, again, post this picture or this question here in the chat on Rumble, and then I'm going to post it up on the screen so everybody's going to see it for at least the next minute right here, guys. So I'll say it audibly so everybody can hear it if you're just listening. Better time for me to go live during the week, specifically Tuesdays and Wednesdays, as I'm already doing a show with Mac and Lisa Mondays at 7 p.m. and Thursdays 9:30 p.m. for Table of Titans with the guys. So noon, so 12 p.m. noon Eastern time, or 4 p.m. 4:30 Eastern time. It's kind of a tight window. I know my buddy Red Pill starts going live around 5. I know my other buddies, News Treason and Rambo, they start going live around 2. So the 2 o'clock to like 4:30 block is pretty well taken. They've already established their audience in that time slot. So I'm trying to go live when the most of you guys would be available. That's funny. 00 my way. So a black person in a wheelchair is doomed, according to her. Yeah, doubly doomed, I would say. You know what I might do, guys, too? Like next Monday or Tuesday, I might just set up a live stream at 12 and, you know, do a little bit of news, maybe an hour's worth. And then when that's done, set up another live stream at 4 and then just see what time slot more people show up at. I mean, I got the spare time. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes out next week. I also put out a message to my buddy Tron, who I think is actually live right now. And there is a live presser going on right now, so maybe I could show you a little bit of this, unless it's done. Let me see here. Ding, 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 ding. All right, so 38 minutes ago. Well, let's listen to this. This is 4 minutes. Interesting, probably worth it. We got President Trump and Kash Patel sitting behind him, who does wear the image of that you're seeing on the screen here, the Punisher logo there on his socks sometimes, or at least he used to sell them anyways. But let's take a listen here.
President, question, given you have the FBI Director and Attorney General here today, Jim Jordan has asked Jack Smith to appear in front of the House Judiciary.
You mean deranged, Jack? He's a deranged individual, yeah.
He's asked him to...
Well, they should. I'm surprised it takes so long. You know, we're talking about violent crime. What about the crime against a political opponent? That's what we have to talk about, too.
Jordan would like to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. What do you think the committee will find out, Mr. Smith?
I think it was the worst weaponization of a political opponent in the history of the world, let alone this country. And I hope that everybody's, you know, they're involved in it. I'm not. I'm the one that had to suffer through it and ultimately win. But what they did was criminal. Deranged Jack Smith, in my opinion, is a criminal. And I noticed his interviewer was, I think that was Weissman. And I hope they're going to look into Weissman, too. Weissman's a bad guy. And he had somebody in Lisa, who was his puppet, worked in the office really as the top person. And I think that she should be looked at very strongly. There was tremendous criminal activity.
Who's he talking about? Lisa Monaco? I think he is talking about Lisa Monaco. I don't think he's talking about the Lisa Page.
To do. If we don't have fair elections in this country, we're not going to have a country. And I've said it from the beginning, fair elections and borders. And we need also fair press, because if you don't have fair press, it's very tough. And we've got the strongest border of anybody. Nobody has a border. We have a border where the numbers just came out again. You saw 0 people came in illegally. Now, we do take people into our country legally, but 0 people. But, you know, you're talking about a different subject. You're talking about political crime. They have committed massive political crime. I hope they're looking at Shifty Schiff. I hope they're looking at all these people. And I'm allowed to find out. I'm allowed to, you know, I'm, in theory, the chief law enforcement officer. But I have a very good, talented group. This is about something else. But I hope they're looking at political crime, because there's never been so much political crime against a political opponent as what I had to go through. They raided my house in Florida. It was an illegal raid. I have a lawsuit that was doing very well. And when I became president, I said, I'm sort of suing myself. I don't know. How do you settle the lawsuit? I'll say, give me X dollars, right? And I don't know what to do with the lawsuit. It's a great lawsuit. And now I won. It sort of looks bad. I'm suing myself, right? So I don't know, but that was a lawsuit that was very strong, very powerful. They raided illegally my house in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. They went through the drawers of my young son. They went through all of the cabinets and drawers of the First Lady. She walked in, she said, wow, what happened? Because she's very meticulous, and this wasn't so meticulous. As she looked into the drawers and she saw everything a mess. It's what they did against a person that just got out of office. And then you look at these corrupt people. You look at Hunter Biden. You look at the signature. As an example, the Europen. I just signed so many different things. An admiral, a 4-star general. I'm signing them left and right, the commissions. And by the way, I want to compliment John Thune and also Mike, our great speaker. But John Thune, all of a sudden I'm getting these things by the hundreds. I was getting one every 2 weeks. It would have been 4 years before you got them in more. You would have had some that didn't even get in, all because of Democrat obstruction. So John Thune did a great job. I must have signed 200 into the administration. We're just about caught up. It's amazing. And so compliments to John. He had to do some things that were very tough to do that he didn't want to do, but he was forced to do it by the Democrats. And as far as the shutdown's concerned, this is a Democrat Schumer shutdown.
It is a Democrat Schumer shutdown, but I would contend to you, Fine, wonderful world patriots out there that this shutdown actually helped out. As you heard, oh, well, we just signed in, what, 200 people? I mean, there was one vote. They got a crapload of his people that he wanted to get in there. And had the government been running, then no, it wouldn't have happened, right? And also, if another, oh geez, what is it, another 16 or 17 days goes by, Debbie, you know what, Debbie Roush, I'm going to probably show the video that she shared with me. This is pretty interesting, instead of continuing on with this one. This guy, and he's in front of a chalkboard, and he sounds like he's a professor, so he sounds very smart. But let me see if I can get this clip up. He makes some very interesting points, and he seems to know about how the government kind of works behind the scenes, especially while we have some of these shutdowns going on. So let me pop this one up. Debbie had shared from Telegram. And no, you're going to go over here. Even though if I have Telegram open, for some reason it always wants to open up a different window on me. Here we go. Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Like I have to click it again. Here we go. Bing. View post. Open Telegram. Where is it? Where the hell did it go? Let me share it here. I know I can share it a different way. For some reason I have the friggin' link, but it doesn't want to open up on my Telegram. Ding, 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 ding. And I did watch it. I did watch it just last night. So let me see here. Get this link going over here. Come on. Wow, this is being super weird, guys. I've never seen Telegram act like this before. Come on, open up. Keeps opening up to my Telegram channel, but for some reason it's not showing me the stupid video that I want to show you guys. What the hell is it? Wow, this is super weird. Bear with me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Ears wide open, eyes wide open. Let me see if I can search for that, maybe. Eyes wide open. Here we go. Search. Next. Next. I just cannot believe this thing's not turning on. Hold on, let me try it one more time here. Go. View post, open Telegram. I don't know if this guy removed it or something like that. Oh, thank you. I was smart enough to save it into my saved things. Here we go. So I do have it. This is 5 minutes, but I don't think we're going to do the whole 5 minutes. We're probably going to do maybe the first 2 or 3 minutes, but I think it's well worth the wait that you guys had to wait a couple minutes for. Don't know who this guy is, but what he's talking about is very interesting. If you look up what he's saying, it is true.
Hey guys, October 10th, talking about the government shutdown. More whiteboard.
So remember, this is the 10th, 5 days ago.
There might be a bigger play than many people realize. Okay, so the Trump administration, Marco Rubio is Secretary of State, Jamison Greer, Howard Lutnick, pretty much a large percentage of the cabinet has said that we need to handle the problem with the NGOs, the non-government organizations within our government, and handle the career bureaucracy. Okay. So a lot of the dirty NGOs, and when I say dirty, they're working against America's interest, like USAID did a color revolution to destabilize Ukraine, and now we've had to write a lot of checks in Ukraine, right? So under the State Department, you've got a bunch of nefarious NGOs or non-government organizations. You've got USAID, you've got the Council of Foreign Relations. It sounds benign, but it's not. You've got the National Endowment of Democracy. Now that sounds benign, but the National Endowment of Democracy actually coordinated censorship laws in the European Union that would impact us here in the United States. A domestic organization went over to Europe. They founded and funded European censorship laws for social media platforms over 1 million, and then that backdoored the First Amendment in the United States. UNICEF. So you've got underneath the State Department, you got all these dirty NGOs that we need to deal with. Now, you need to understand that during a government shutdown, different laws are allowed to happen. So, at a minimum, I believe that the government will be shut down until 11/2 of 2025. This has nothing to do with the Democrat and Republican wrangling back and forth, okay? It would behoove the administration that wants to affect all of these NGOs to keep the government closed until November 2nd of 2025. The reason is 31 days after 10/1, the State Department has unilateral authorities to close those. Period. The law is flipped during a government shutdown. And after 31 days, they could wipe the slate clean, even if these guys got congressional funding through a previous bill. Okay. Now, that's step one. So they can impact all of these dirty NGOs that are affecting the government just by waiting until that magical date. Now, we might even go all the way until...
Are you saying November 2nd, which I find to be an interesting date, guys, right? If you guys know back during the team when they were posting, they mentioned a few times when 11.3 verifies as marker, right? And this guy's talking about, hey, on 11.2, we can start shutting down all these NGOs.
December 2nd of 2025. Was law number 2 that changes. Now, the State Department did their furloughs within 30 seconds of the government being closed. They were the very first to do their furloughs. Now, that was significant because, here it is, October 10th. Government closed on October 1st, and other departments are just starting to do furloughs. The State Department did their furloughs within 30 seconds, which means they had it teed up and ready to go. They immediately furloughed 27,000 problem makers that were within this network. Now, these are federal civil employees. They're protected under the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978. The president cannot unilaterally fire them unless the government shut down and 60 days expires. After 60 days, then these 27,000 furloughed problem children that were within the NGO network are no longer protected under the Civil Service Reform Act and are subject to immediate termination. So, in my estimation, we're going to be closed until 11/2 of 2025 at a minimum, because then the laws change and we can handle this NGO problem. They might even extend it all the way out here to 12/2, where they can start firing problematic bureaucrats that are creating the chaos within the NGO network. Now, that might be a stretch, right? I put bets in the Kalshi market. Most of my money was put here, but I did do prop bets on this. This is more than likely to occur because the Trump administration and all of them, U.S. Trade Ambassador, Russell Vogt with Office of Management and Budget, every higher level cabinet member has talked about wanting to get rid of the problem with NGOs. The law goes in their favor, so that is quite a likely day. There's some of the world through my eyes. Thanks, and have a great weekend.
Very, very interesting, no? Let me make sure I turn down this audio in case I play any more clips. See, there we go. So, seems like there's more to the mystery of this shutdown where it's not just something that, oh no, well, they're holding us hostage. No, President Trump's getting his nominations pushed through. We're getting rid of 27,000 bad apples already, possibly more through this, through these NGOs as well. I'm super excited to see some more progress in this front as well. So, and thank you very much again, Whippenspur123, who had gifted out another 5 subscriptions to the channel. Thank you so much for that there, Whippenspur. Appreciate you. And on the way out of here, guys, I'm going to raid my good buddy, Zach Red Pill, and I'm gonna see if I can put this link over here on my YT side right there, guys. So check him out over there. I just dropped it on the YouTube side, and I'm gonna raid him on Rumble on the way out of here. So tell him Space Shot sent you guys, and I'll be back with the boys. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna be on with my buddy Rambo and friends tomorrow at 2 p.m. For the round table. And then I will also be back. So that's 2 o'clock Eastern with Joe, Dave, and I think Awakened Outlaw and a few other folks there. I forget. He keeps kind of switching up on the Thursday. But I'll be there with the guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. And I'll also, of course, be at our 8+ year or 7+ year running show, Table of Titans, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow evening as well. So, like I said, tell Zach Red Pill we said what's going on, and that Space Shot sent you, and I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And like I said, next week I think I'm going to probably do what I said kind of half-heartedly and jokingly earlier. I think I am going to start a live stream on Tuesday and Wednesday at 12 o'clock and see what kind of reception it gets, and then I'll do the same thing at 4 o'clock for another hour and see what the reception difference is. So we'll see what happens there. So again, thanks Juan for jumping in between flights over there at the airport. I'm so lucky it wasn't a lot of background noise at all. It's a great little interview there. Little update for a little update about Tina Peters was good as well, and I think rightfully so. She should be left out, and she is a national treasure for what she did, and what she did, in my opinion, was legal. Right? That was her position to ensure that those machines were not being tampered with. Well, she took a forensic photo of the machine before they did their air quotes trusted update, which I don't think I did that. Trusted build, that's what they call it, trusted build. Which what that trusted build does is it gets rid of all the crime and resets everything, and then it makes it look like nothing happened. So she took a picture of the whole forensic machine before that happened, which shows all the crime, and then she took another forensic snap after it, which shows how they wiped everything away. But she's in jail, and not the people that did it. Go figure. Their time is coming, I believe, and rightfully so. So, as I mentioned, guys, I will be rating Red Pill on the way out of here. And just so the folks know, I do get a copyright infringement strike on the video called not Brackets and Jackets, but the Takedown. So I'm going to play that last, and I'm going to have to cancel or shut off the live stream on YouTube before that video even starts. So just so you guys know, once that Brackets and Jackets ends, that's the end of the video for you guys, and then everybody else, except for YouTube, will hear the Takedown video at the end. So thank you to the mods out there. You guys rock, helping myself and many others over this last many years. I do appreciate your guys' help more than you know. And actually, before I'm an idiot and go running off like a fool, like I did yesterday, I got to double up on the old the lemons over there on Dlive, as I forgot to release them. So let me go over here. So Chatty KC, thank you for the cookie, says love Juan. Thank you for that. Okie7 with the can. Thank you, Okie7, and Patriot Game with the cookie. And I am releasing the scratch offs over there on the Foxhole, and heading over to Dlive. Bing, go to my channel, go to your channel, ding, there we go. And thank you to Crow Deck, P Dancer, and Susie Q, the top contributors over there today. And I'm dropping in 100 into the bucket as opposed to 50 because I forgot to yesterday. Ding, and thank you for that star there, Debbie, who just donated a star there. And I'm releasing the rewards, which will come at you in 28, 27, 26, and counting. And once again, guys, I do appreciate, I'm going to show this, my buddy PWD Oathkeeper sent this over just to show us, or Anon416, whatever he's going by nowadays, Cash's challenge coin with the Punisher and the guns on there. Love that thing. That is badass. So I do appreciate each and every one of you wonderful world patriots out there for tuning in. And until that next video, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern and 9:30 p.m. Eastern, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Let me make sure I hit this in the right manner here. Peace. Nope, not this one.
Hello, special is happening in here. That's right, it's Brackets and Jackets, bringing it back, but Brackets and Jackets, special Epstein Island edition. That's right, folks, Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, the man with the island, which is suspiciously close to Haiti. That's right. You see this man, Jeffrey Epstein, is funding lots of people. He's funding lots of people on the street to make sure his shit doesn't get out. That's right. They want the record sealed. And they're paying a lot of people. Epstein's paying a lot of people. Oh boy. For one, he's got a whole Mossad media matrix in America. And I would bet you anything that Alex Jones is one of them. Prove me wrong. That's right, Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the portal. Cappy's in the building with songs about Epstein. It's Breakfast Jacket's Epstein edition. Guys, I had some epiphanies today. I had some real big epiphanies about some guys. A big network of guys and spies and lies and liars. All right, think about this for a minute, okay? The guy in Portland, the scientist that just got busted for producing CP, that guy is 1 degree of separation away from Epstein. Epstein, the investor that lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. I know a guy who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida as well. Investor as well. Also involved as well. And all is not well with these guys. The Florida boys, the Glow boys, the Scott Israels of the world. You see, Epstein is Hillary Clinton. And Epstein is Haiti. And Epstein is a big network of media assets. By the way, did you know that Steve Bannon was going to that guy for money? Also, Epstein is Epstein Oprah. Epstein is Chris Tucker. You remember him. Epstein is also Kevin Spacey. Epstein is also Prince Andrew. Epstein is also... Who else is Epstein? Who else is Epstein? Tell me. You guys know? Who else is Epstein? Is Epstein Big Pharma? Is Epstein Bryan Singer? Is Epstein Naomi Campbell? Yep, all of the above. All of the above. Who is Epstein? Epstein is the keystone of a whole motherfucking matrix. And once you pull it out, it all falls down. Dersh was there too. That's right, we're dropping red pills every day. Dropping red pills in the best kind of way. This is Brackets and Jackets for the denizens of islands.